guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another How About Them Celtics video. Sam and I are recording Thursday, August 10th. Like all of the videos you're going to be seeing for the next week or so, Thursday, August 10th. And we're going to react to Hoops Hype's top point guard rankings. Derrick White is on the list, so we're going to react to his ranking as well as the rest of the guys on the list. Discuss why, in my opinion, spoiler alert, I think Derrick White should be a little higher and why some of the other rankings on the list may be questionable. So let's go here. Sam, do you want to go back to front or do you want to go 1 to 24?
I don't care.
All right,
I truly don't care.
Let's go top to bottom because I feel like that's the easiest way to contextualize it. So we'll start here at the top of the list. Luka Doncic, number 1 point guard in the NBA, above Steph Curry, who is 2. Thoughts?
Sure. Yeah, I guess Luka's the best. He's the biggest of the bunch. He's got a very diverse skill set. He can do a little bit of everything. It's really tough for me to see him above Steph because I just think Steph has continued to be really reliable at all times. The Warriors have been consistently great since Steph has been able to have a larger role. Dallas just petered out last year. It was a tight race in the West. They were at 4th when they got Kyrie. Luka was in and out of the lineup with injuries because he wasn't really in shape, and it cost them. But I guess it's tough to be like Luka's not good.
No, I know what you mean. I'd probably lean. I'm trying to get good sizing for this. I'd probably lean Steph over Luka, but it's like you said, it's hard to complain. Luka's probably he is a top 5 player in the NBA. So he deserves to be at the top of the list. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is at 3. For context, behind him is Ja at 4 and Dame at 5. I like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he's great. Is he better than John Morant?
I don't know. I think
that's my thing.
The recency bias, he just had a team where it was fully his responsibility. He had to score a bunch of points for them to have a chance to win. And he was able to do so. Excellent.
Efficient.
Just made first team All-NBA. What did you say?
I said efficient. Sorry. Like he did it efficiently. It wasn't like he put up empty
you couldn't hear me. You took your headset off.
No. I was itching my ear. Sorry. No, it wasn't the normal, like, oh, he put up 30 points on crappy efficiency. Like he was very efficient, but like Ja is the best player on a top 4 team in the West for like 2-3 years now, right? And you can say, oh,
he's not going to be playing games this year. So.
That's what I'm saying. Like last year, he got injured. He didn't play as always. He didn't play here and there, but like I'd probably still have John Morant above Shai, but we're picking at straws. I think Dame's a little too high on this list at number 5 when you consider Trae Young, Tyrese Halliburton, De'Aaron Fox. Actually, I lied. Dame deserves to be 5. I'm talking out of my ass. I had to see who was behind him. Dame at 5 is fine. I think the top 5 point guards on the list are pretty good. I'm not going to complain with the top 5 point guards. Although I know we hate Kyrie. He's fallen a little far. Like Kyrie's still
Kyrie very low on the list. He's number 13.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? That's whack.
Like, I don't know. Like, who would you rather have, him or Jalen Brunson? I don't know. Dallas, who would you rather have? Which one'd you pay? Purely
on the court, Kyrie, not close, in my opinion.
Well, it's not all that simple now, is it?
This is true, but Trae Young at 6, Tyrese Halliburton at 7, Fox at 8, Harden at 9, Jamal Murray at 10. Thoughts on some of these guys in here?
Maybe Murray should be a bit higher, but it's tough to put him above the guys that are 7 through 9 in Trae Young 6.
Yeah, I think you can argue him above. I mean, you could really argue him about any of these guys. I think Trae Young at 6 is probably pretty solidified. I think he's becoming underrated as much as I put him on the most annoying players list. Like he's still 26-10, right? And as much as he wasn't efficient, he led the team to the conference finals a couple years ago. Like he's proved that he can win if put in the right situation. Good playoff player usually. Halliburton, I love Tyrese Halliburton. I know you love Tyrese Halliburton. I feel like all of this is a bit premature. Like I would still probably have at least Harden and Jamal Murray above him. You can make the argument for Fox because he's only made the playoffs once himself, and Halliburton hasn't done it, but he hasn't given a fair shot. But like,
well, the impact he had on that Pacers team last year was unmatched.
I know.
As soon as he got hurt, they weren't really competitive, but when he was on the floor, they really impressed people. They were hanging around the play-in. I believe they were 6 at one point in the
were
East
up there
before he went down. That's pretty impressive with the crew he had when he showed up in Indiana. Of course, some of those guys panned out. Mathurin turned out to be a really good player. Miles Turner just had the best season of his career because of Halliburton, or partly because of him. Definitely deserves credit too.
I would still probably have Jamal Murray over Harden. I'd probably have him over Fox, and I'd probably have him over Halliburton. I'd probably put him in 7th, but like I'm not going to it's not like egregious enough for me to care enough to make a big deal of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I just, in my opinion, if I had to make the list,
this is why tiers are better than lists, because
agree.
These guys are all probably around the same level.
Agree. I agree. Looking at the next few, LaMelo Ball 11, Jalen Brunson 12, Kyrie Irving 13, Darius Garland 14, Drew Holiday 15. This is where I have a problem. This is where the problem starts to begin for me. Because
I would probably take LaMelo last out of that bunch.
I think by a pretty wide margin. Yes, absolutely. I think Drew Holiday is kind of crazy underrated here.
Agree with
but
that.
Again, it's also tough to put him above like De'Aaron Fox and Trae Young and James Harden. I think Darius Garland also absolutely deserves to be in this tier, as does Jalen Brunson. I think Darius Garland is probably as good as the Tyrese Halliburton, De'Aaron Foxes of the world. LaMelo Ball, he's great. And I don't think his greatness is appreciated as much because of how little he played last year and the Hornets being a terrible franchise. Like he put up 23, 6.5 and 8.5, which I didn't even know that. And I do think if you put him around better teammates, he'll be amazing. But right now, you just can't have him like a guy who made the playoffs, Kyrie Irving, who's proven he's an elite player, guy who made the playoffs, and guy who is all defensive first team, right? Like I just don't think you can have him above those guys right now, at least.
Correct.
So
I think Drew Holiday is probably better than Darius Garland right now. I don't know. It's tough.
Probably. I think Drew Holiday is also better than Kyrie, and probably not. Probably same level as Jalen Brunson.
The NBA is so stacked at the point guard position right now that it's really tough to differentiate a lot of these guys. And it also makes it difficult for other players, just because we talk about it so much, Peyton Pritchard, to have a real role in this league. Like Peyton Pritchard's a good player, but then you're like, wow, like he's not better than any of these guys, obviously. He's not better than probably the next, 20 guys on this list at the very least. And he's a really quality player. Like everybody in the comments loves Pritchard. They say he's a great player. He should get more minutes on the Celtics, blah, blah, blah. Not on this list. Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, 2 guys that he played behind last year.
Emmanuel Quickly.
Plenty of other players. Quickly not on this list. Trey Jones not on this list. Any of the Magic point guards not on this list. I mean, there's just so many guys that are quality players that aren't listed, aren't given recognition. And I think when expansion rolls around, it's really going to be great for some of these lower tier guys to get a chance to shine.
I agree. Looking at the next 5, Fred VanVleet at 16, Cade Cunningham 17, Scoot Henderson 18, Josh Giddey 19, Russell Westbrook 20. I don't like including point rookies on these lists because I think it's impossible to know. I think Scoot's going to be great, but like putting him on this list seems a bit premature. Fred VanVleet's a bit high for my liking. I think he's overrated. Not just because he got paid, because he's just not an efficient player.
Not an efficient player.
Maybe he'll be better. For context, Derrick White at 21 might take him over everybody in this tier outside of Cade.
I would take him over everyone but Scoot because the hype around Scoot is crazy. Cade can't get on the floor. Fred VanVleet isn't efficient. Russell Westbrook, I guess he's okay, but sometimes he's a net negative. And Giddey, I don't know how much we've seen from him to be overly impressed. 16 points per game, 7. I mean, he has impressive stats.
He's really good.
Maybe Giddey is better than Derrick White.
I think Derrick White should be right at 16, 17 range. I think he's better than Westbrook.
This comes back to there's so much talent in the NBA. It's very tough to just differentiate these guys because I think it could go either way. The stats tell you that
Chris
he's
Paul
probably worse than the rest of them.
Yeah. My thing is, I think Derrick White was snubbed on this list for the same reason that Marcus Smart was, and for the same reason that Drew Holiday was. They don't care about defense. Like, I don't think these lists take defense into account enough. Drew Holiday is an all-defensive first-team player. Alex Caruso, another name, not on this list, all-defensive first-team, great player, right? Like, Trae Young is awesome, and I just spent, the beginning of this episode saying he deserves to be 6. He is probably the worst defender in the NBA. Right? Like, that's not a crazy thing to say. Tyrese Halliburton's a fine defender. De'Aaron Fox is a fine defender. James Harden's not a great defender. Jamal Murray's fine. LaMelo Ball, not a good defender. Jalen Brunson, fine. Kyrie Irving, meh. Darius Garland, meh. Like, you don't have a good defensive point guard on this list until 15. The best defensive point guard in the NBA.
Trying hard to think of guys that are worse defenders than Trae Young, and I can't do it.
You know, Anthony Simons is the only name that I can realistically think of. He's terrible.
Okay.
Right? Maybe traffic cone John Collins, but the Hawks just taking a beating. But you're going to put the number one defensive point guard in the NBA at 15. That tells you exactly how much they value offense. Marcus Smart, not on the list. Derrick White, all defensive second team. I would say a top 10 defender in the NBA in general. 21st best point guard. He shot 40% from three, averaged 12, 3, and 4, which not great stats, but he was the fifth scoring option on his team. Like, I think Derrick White's better than Russell Westbrook. I think he's probably better, I think a better word, he's more impactful than Russell Westbrook. He's more impactful than Josh Giddey. Scoot is probably going to be better, but it's impossible for me to know because he hasn't played an NBA game. Cade Cunningham wasn't on the court this past season. I'm not arguing him as better than Derrick White, but he just wasn't on the court. I think he's more impactful than Fred VanVleet in terms of winning. Derrick White is. I won't argue against Drew Holiday, but if you're asking me, like, I don't think he can crack the top 15 here, but I think he should be right knocking on the door of it. And
it's tough with Fred VanVleet because people can easily be like, he has a championship. He was on that Raptors team, but he was coming off the bench.
Yep.
Fred VanVleet is whatever. The Rockets paid up the ass for him. Good luck to him. They really blew their money. I think they might have had to spend money this summer. I don't know what the cap rules are. I'm pretty sure you can't enter the season with less than whatever dollars.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Chris Paul 22, D'Angelo Russell 23, Spencer Dinwiddie 24. Yeah, I just think Derrick White got gypped on this list because they don't count for defense enough. I'm glad they have him on it.
Derrick White also hasn't gotten the opportunity to be a point guard full time on a great team. Or really,
I think Derrick White averages 15, 4, and 6 this year.
Derrick White very well could have a breakout season.
I think he'll be amazing. And if you want my hot take, you remember when you said Marcus Smart could be an all-star a couple years ago? Not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying Derrick White's very low on this list for my liking.
Again, just the guard position makes it really tough.
Be ready. I think he deserves to be much higher, but obviously I'm biased. I think Derrick White should be knocking on the door at top 15, but he's sitting here at 21. So thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it. This was my Derrick White rant of the day. I got it out of my system. Subscribe to How About Them Celtics. We appreciate you, and I'll let Sam take us out.
Yes, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily uploads this summer. We're putting in the work, making sure you guys have something to watch Celtics related every day. You can leave a comment, leave a like, show your support. You can follow us on Spotify and Apple for the full-length pods. Those will also be on YouTube, so don't worry if you're just on YouTube. You'll still get them. You can leave a nice 5-star review for us there. You can follow us on social media at How About Them C's on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The Facebook page is just the name of the pod. You can find us there. You can find Jack on Twitter at JackSimoneNBA. You can follow me at Samuel France NBA. That's it for us.
Tic-tac-toe.